Okay. I'm just going to help you with some of these just in case you need some help. Alright, this is going to be a short video. I'm not giving you the answers. I'm just helping you set up. For this first one, it says, how do you convert 4/5 into a decimal? Well, we talked about this in class. This is not decimal friendly, 4/5. But we can get it to sound decimal friendly through multiplying using the H chart. So you would set it up and you figure out what do you need to multiply 5 by to either sound like tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. On this next one, you have 23 and 3/8. It says to write this fraction as a decimal. Where you already have the whole number part taken care of, you need to set up 3/8, multiply by 125. That gets you a denominator of 1,000. I gave you a hint down here. Now you're going to have to multiply 3 times 125. That'll give you an answer. Figure out how to convert that into a decimal. This next one is similar. You have 16 and 1/5. How do you turn that into a decimal? You're subtracting Shelly's time from Erisbeth's time, which is 19 and 8/10. Well, I'm going to turn these fifths into tenths very easily, times 2. Well, what I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So you go ahead and solve that, turn that to a decimal, and then you're going to subtract, and that will give you your answer. On this fraction, you're going to count how many are shaded, which is 5. Out of the total is 8. So then you need to multiply. You need to get this to sound decimal friendly. 8 can't go into 10, 100, or 1,000. Or sorry, it can't go into 10 or 100, but it can go into 1,000. So you multiply by 125 for the bottom and the top. You'll figure that out and turn it to a decimal. And then here it does require a little bit more work, but it's not difficult work. You need to see which one is not true. So that means 3 of them are true. You can put a T next to the 3 that are true. So you'll start with, is 6/10 equal to 3/5? Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. 5 can go to 10. You can multiply something and get to 10. You go ahead and multiply the top by it and the bottom. See if it comes out to 6/10. Same thing with B, C, and D. You're going to go to the hundredths on here because this is the hundredth place. You can go to the thousands here or 10,000s, whichever you prefer. And here is the thousandths place. Alright, so you'll solve all 4 and see which 3 are true, which one is not. On this next one, you need to, this one's a bit simpler. How much further is the zoo than the hotel? Well, here's the zoo, here's the hotel. You're going to need to put this in the simplest form. You're going to write it as a fraction and put it in the simplest form. So for example, this is not the answer, this is an example. If you had 8 over 10, you figure out what number can go into 8 and 10. You can start with 2, 3, 5, start with your prime numbers, and it'll let you know. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, 10 divided by 2, 5. So 4/5. This is just the example, it's not the answer. Okay, on this side, this is all reviewed from the first module, the first test we took. So this one is about 100-pound person on Earth would weigh about 4 to the 4th power pounds on Jupiter. How much would a 100-pound person weigh on Jupiter? Find the value of the power. Well, your first thought is 4 times 4 equals 16. That is not true. Remember, this is repeated multiplication. So y'all can figure that out by yourself. On this one, this is order of operations. I've already put the PEMDAS on here. You got to be careful with these. It depends on what order comes in. So anyway, I wrote it on the side. There's parentheses, exponents, division, add, subtract. I labeled it here. So I did the first one for you. You need to make sure you write out the expression every time. 96 divided by 4 to the 2nd power plus 50. I did the parentheses already. So that's done. You'll do the next round. 96 divided by 4 to the 2nd power. That is not 8. You be very careful. The 2 does not exist. It's going to be 4 times 4. and then you'll write out the rest of it and continue to solve. I'm not going to solve it for you. Y'all can solve that on your own. This is multiplication, and it says about, so that lets you know you're going to be estimating. Remember the rule. You're trying to round to the nearest tens place. If it's 4 and down, round down. 5 and up, round up. So this is an 8. That means this is going to round up. This is a 2. This is going to stay the same. And then y'all can figure that one out. It's not difficult. Here you need to do prime factorization. Well, I've already gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prime numbers. So y'all should not have an issue with that. You just got to figure out, okay, well, 360, it ends in 0, so you have some possibilities. You can either divide it by 2, 5, or 10. If you get a 2 over here, you're going to have to figure out 2 times what is 360. If you get a 5, 5 times what is 360, or 10 times what is 360. You need to figure out which one you want to use, and then you'll circle the prime numbers as you go down. If you cannot remember, here is an example. This is not the answer. This is an example. For 50, 50 times 2 is 100. Prime. 2 times 25 is 50. That's prime. 5 times 5, prime. So my final answer would be 2 squared, 4 to the second power, 5 to the second power. This is an example. It is not the answer. You're going to follow this example in order to do that. Y'all have done this before. Here, I gave you the title, Least Common Multiple, so you think of a multiplication chart. Well, you can go through and read this. It talks about lights blinking every 4 seconds, 6 seconds, and 10 seconds. So you'll list out the multiples of your 4s, list out the multiples of your 6s, list out the multiples of your 10s. Don't stop here. Continue until you find the first multiple that they have in common. Those of you in some of my other class periods, y'all learned to do the upside down division or the ladder division, where you pull out the prime number. Oops, that's supposed to be a 10. And y'all can do that. And then, alright, and then you multiply all of those. So it all depends on you. Over here, greatest common factor, you can read through it. I gave you the title. You use the T-chart with greatest common factor, and you use multiples with least common multiple. So these are getting bigger. These are pieces. These are smaller pieces. So look at your answer choices. That helps you out. And make sure you get all the factors of 64 and 72. Well, that's it. If you have any questions, just send me a text message. All right, that is it.